Hello, Gary Williams again, reaching out to friends and colleagues in the artistic community all over the world to see how we're all coping with this crazy, unprecedented coronavirus situation. And I'm so happy that the lady waiting patiently there for me is the great Jacqui Scott. Hello, Jacqui Scott.
Hello, Gary Williams. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. And I say great because your list of theatre credits is just, I was just looking online. If I'd have known how important you were when I first met you, I think I would probably would have run away with fear. I mean, you're
rubbish.
something of a legend. So you are safely in Hampshire now, but where were you when this whole thing kicked off?
Well, Australia, actually. Our youngest daughter lives in Melbourne, and we left on the 12th of March, just before it kicked off here. And we questioned whether we should go, should we stay? And over there, things seemed to be quite calm. So we went, and then about a week in, we started hearing noises that things were getting worse. So we tried to move our flights forward to come home a week early, which we did, got the flights, and on the day they cancelled them. So they were packed to come home. So we sat there for another 2 weeks, hoping things would improve, and they didn't really. So we had to bite the bullet and get our own ticket home. So we got home about 6 days ago.
Wow. Well, at least you got a bit of extra time with your daughter, which was nice.
Yeah, an extra 2 weeks. It was marvellous. It was fun. The weather was great, and no lockdown then.
At least you were not stuck on a cruise ship like some of our friends.
Could you imagine? I know some had just got home a few days ago, been at sea for like 49 days. It's like the olden days, isn't it, doing the transatlantic crossings? But yeah, there's a few people still out there.
So as this, of course, all of us performers are all in the same position in that, you know, all of the work in the diary is gone. Everything's just stopped. Has it already affected your work schedule at all? Or were you one of the lucky ones? Because I don't know about you, but I normally don't cruise much. For me, cruising would have started about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I don't normally cruise much sort of January, February, March, kind of in the winter. But I know a lot of people do. Has it affected your work?
No, I'm like you. I don't work January, February, March because it's a long haul. I don't really want to do it. So my work starts. Well, you know, it's just too far, isn't it? So I work from April onwards, but I have lost all of April. So I did have 2 trips in this month. One was earlier on, and one should have been starting next week, but they've gone. We've now had notification that my work has now gone to July. So there's going to be nothing between now and July. But do I look bothered? I'm loving this. it shows early retirement. It's bloody fantastic.
You know, I was just saying to Philip, my boyfriend, well, actually, he said to me this morning, he said, I'm getting quite used to this. But of course, I said, I know it's great, except we're not earning any money. We're not going to feel, you know, used to it in, you know, whatever. Yeah. At some point, the money's going to run out. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you know, when this first started, I was sort of terrified for a few days, thinking, oh my God, but you know, the work and the money, and then you get sort of used to it. So we're comfortable with the idea now, but at some point, I think we're going to start panicking again. Do you think July? I mean, the cruise lines are saying July, or maybe some of them, I think one of them I heard was saying saying something about June. But do you think that's realistic? I mean, nobody knows, but what do you think?
Oh, no. I think it's going to be September. I'm absolutely pretty convinced that, one, you've got to get people's confidence back. Secondly, all these ships are in the wrong place right now. They're all over the world. They've got to reposition somewhere. And I, in my heart and my head, are telling me it's going to be September, possibly earliest. So I'm resigning myself to that. I'm just thinking, well, it is what it is. We've got our health. We've got this freedom right now to have time at home with loved ones, or our husband, and things. So I think it's going to be worse than I think people think it is, in honesty.
Yeah, I mean, I find it's hard to understand how ships are going to get back to normal before there's a vaccination. I mean, they're going to have to do some kind of social distancing on the ship. I mean, do you? I mean, I think maybe I have friends who are just thinking, well, they'll figure it all out because they have to. You know, there's so much at stake; they'll figure it out. But it seems a mystery to me. Have you? I mean, what do you? How can you social distance in a theatre on a ship? You know, you can sit 3 seats apart, but you've still got to get into that theatre or walking down the steps. You know, this is going to be very difficult, and I don't know how they're going to do it unless more testing comes in for people to be tested to see if they've had it, to see if they've had immunity. Maybe they'll do tests before you get on the ship itself with temperature control. Maybe you'll have to have a doctor's letter
to say that you're cleared to travel, which is what some airlines were doing before we got back from Australia. We didn't have to do that, but maybe they'll do that. I actually don't know. I don't know how this is going to work, unless you just say we're going to stop working for 6 months. But the cruise lines have got to try and keep financially going for the future. I hear bookings are up for next year by 20%, which is amazing.
That's fantastic.
Apparently. But I think that's deferment, a lot of it. I think people are looking at deals and thinking, wow, we can get a cruise next year for $500 to the Caribbean and back. And I think people have got very short memories. And I think they'll get 3-4 months and they'll all just stop booking again. I do think
I agree. Yeah, I do agree with that. And I mean, because of this, it's not going to take away all of the wonderful things which taking a holiday on a cruise ship can offer. No. And people will have reservations. There will be a little bit hesitant, but it's a matter of price, I think. The ships are wonderful. What's on them is the same. And if you can tempt somebody back, there's the right price point, isn't it? They'll say,
everyone has a price.
I'm not going to do it, but then they'll say, oh, for that, okay.
Of course they will. Of course they will. I think one thing that might happen is that particularly through these summer months, people might stay at home and have British holidays. And once the lockdown sort of is relaxed here, I think people might go to the seaside more, which would be fantastic for British tourism. So I do see that happening. And we have a home in Devon, which is our main home. But because we travel so much, we decided to rent it out on a holiday let business. We've lost everything in April and May right now because people aren't coming. But June and July and August were fully booked. And I'm hoping that people, when they can be released from this, they might think, we can just pop down to Devon or Cornwall and have a week with our family, be sort of slightly isolated in a home down there. And I think that will happen more in the UK in the forthcoming months, I think.
Are you doing anything productive with all of this time off?
Baking. I've learned how to bake.
Well, the problem with baking is that it's got to be eaten.
Oh, I've done, well, the girth and the sort of middle area is expanding somewhat. But I did my first scones ever, my first quiche last week. So I'm doing that.
That's
From a
really
professional
great.
point of view, I've had 3 new arrangements done by my arranger, which I've been putting off for a long time. So I'm going to be putting those in the show if and when we go back.
That's really fantastic. I mean, a lot of us that have been doing our shows for a long time, it takes years to get the act sort of just right. And then, you're reluctant to make too many changes because it works. But,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you see.
Exactly.
That's what we all say, don't.
But, all of this time has given a lot of people an opportunity to look at their acts. And, we are creative beings at the end of the day. And it's fun to come up with these ideas and to put new things in, right?
I haven't got a piano here in Hampshire, so practicing it's a little difficult because my piano's at home in Devon, but vocally I can at least learn the words, hopefully. But I'm terrible at learning songs. It takes me about 5 months to learn one song, and I've now got 3 on the go, and one of them is a 6-minute medley. So every day I wake up at 6 in the bloody morning singing Monkeys medley. It keeps me awake at night trying to learn this piece.
So if we're released from lockdown sort of any sooner than September, it's going to be disaster for you. You need as much time as possible.
Disaster. Exactly.
We're pleased to announce the lockdown is now. What about my Monkeys medley?
What about my Monkeys medley? No, so I've had a new costume made. Just before lockdown, so I've got that. I've got a fantastic new sparkly catsuit thing to wear. So yeah, I've been reasonably productive.
And are you being confident? I mean, is the costume that you've had, I don't want to be too personal, but have you had it done at your pre-lockdown size, or have you had the good sense to,
Well, put it this way, I've got a large order of Spanx on order. I'm sure you know what a Spanx is.
I'm wearing them now.
2 of them at once. Get it. No, I've promised myself about a month before I start working, I'm going to put the box of wine, you like that, the box of wine, which I bought, not by bottles anymore, it's boxes. They're going to go away, and I'm going to be a good girl for a month before we start working again. But that could be a while off, and I might be a bit bigger by then. But I'm playing tennis every day. So I'm getting exercise. I'm walking. We're very lucky in the country here. We're surrounded by acres of fields and no neighbours. So we can go walking and not see anybody.
That's fantastic.
So we're pretty, which is wonderful. So we are managing an hour's walk every day, 4 or 5 miles. So I am being quite fit.
I think if we can, of course, what's going on is horrifying from so many aspects. But I think, you know, it is what it is. And I think once we get our heads around it, I think there are lots of opportunities to sort of make the most of it, right? Rather than just sitting watching TV all day, eating and moaning and worrying and fretting. The fact that you're baking things you've never baked before, coming up with new arrangements and ideas to improve the show, and that you're hiking and playing tennis. I mean, it's if you've got the motivation, there are, you know, we can come out of this actually in better shape than when we started in all ways, right?
Well, you won't believe this. We have no television here and we have no internet.
That's good.
Which is choice. We have not had it for a couple of years because I think putting the television on at these times, because the news people are loving this. Every day there's some sensationalist news going on. And by not seeing it, I'm not removing myself because I go onto my phone. I've got 4G here. That's all I've got. I go into the phone, check the headlines, then I put it off. I don't look at anything else. I have some downloaded films and TV series which I love to catch up on my iPad. So that's my entertainment. And my husband and I are massive readers. So we have books on the go. And there's something liberating about not having a television. I know it's incredibly old-fashioned, but it's wonderful. I don't miss it at all. It becomes a habit in the background, doesn't it? People have TV on all day long, even if they're not watching it. It's the noise. I love my Ken Bruce in the morning on Radio 2. Have to have Ken on, my pop master and all that, and the classic event in the evening is what we listen to, and that's our day. You know, it's wonderful. We're absolutely so chilled right now. We're loving it.
I think I want to have lockdown with you in your house. It sounds perfect.
Oh, it's brilliant here. We play Scrabble,
Jones.
gin rummy every night.
Love
gin tea outside in the garden, and we do gin rummy, and then we're in bed at 9 o'clock at the minute. Which is hysterical. But I keep waking at 5 in the morning to the birds.
That's it. I mean, you're on the hills hiking at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's fantastic.
Seriously, my whole day. You know, we go on stage at 11 at night sometimes, so we get to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning. My whole day has now reversed itself. I'm getting up at 5, 6 o'clock, but I'm tired by 8 in the evening. So the whole thing is sort of changed over. But we're adapting to it quite well.
I tell you what, when we do eventually get back to work, it's going to be such a shock for all of us, isn't it? We're going to have to stay up late.
Oh, that second show at 10:30, 11. I'm going to be going, where's my cocoa?
I'll just do a matinee. Is that all right?
Yes.
Do a matinee?
An afternoon show would be lovely. Thank you so much.
I need to be in bed by now.
It's going to kill us, isn't it? It's going to kill us all going back to this. It's going to be hysterical.
We're all going to love it. And I can't wait to get back to it. Jacqui, it's always so great to see you. You have such great energy. You make me feel good. And I'm sure everybody feels uplifted.
Brilliant. It's so nice to see you, my darling. Lots of love to you. You keep well.
You too. Yeah, keep well. And I'll see you at the end of all of this madness. Lots of love.
All right, treasure. Bye. Bye-bye.